What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Black Ops 6. And in today's episode, we're going to be getting into the AK-74. And starting it off, as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, and with this gun, it's going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill depending on the range. And when it comes to headshots, unfortunately, the headshot multiplier is quite weak, as we see with most of the guns in this game at 1.15. And what this means is in that 4-shot kill range, it's always going to be a 4-shot kill, even if every bullet hits the head. However, in the 5-shot kill range, if you manage to land every single shot to the head, you can maintain a 4-shot kill potential, but that's fairly unrealistic, especially with the recoil of this gun. Now, what you could do is put the CHF barrel on, and this will boost our headshot damage multiplier to 1.4, and at this point, it just requires 2 headshots mixed in with body shots at any range to reduce the number of shots to kill. As for our rate of fire, this is 652 rounds per minute, which is a little bit on the slow side for an assault rifle. However, our time to kill potential is very impressive at 276 milliseconds. That's the second fastest killing full auto assault rifle in the entire game. It's only beat out by the AS Val, which has a significantly shorter range. So when it comes to raw power, the AK-74 absolutely stands out. And if you are using that CHF barrel and get those 2 headshots mixed in with body shots for a 3-shot kill, you'll actually be killing insanely fast at 184 milliseconds. Then another method of improving our time to kill is rapid fire, of course, which will boost our rate of fire up to 690 rounds per minute, and that boosts our 4-shot time to kill potential to 261 milliseconds. Honestly, this gun doesn't need a time to kill boost, but that is an option if you want to get even more competitive with SMGs in close quarter situations. After that, let's have a look at our ranges, and our 4-shot kill range will extend out to 38 meters, which is not amazing for an assault rifle, but also not terrible, just kind of middle of the road. And you'll see with our bullet velocity at 725 meters per second, that gives us a hit scan range of about 36 meters, so pretty close to that 4-shot kill potential, so fairly balanced there. However, if we use the gain twist barrel, this gives us a 40% boost to our bullet velocity, and therefore a really nice boost to our hit scan range as well. The long barrel gives us a 40% boost to our damage range, and then the reinforced barrel gives us a 20% boost to range and a 15% boost to velocity. And then finally, with rapid fire, we do see a 10% reduction to both our damage range as well as our bullet velocity in exchange for that better time to kill potential. As for hardcore, the AK-74 is a 1-shot kill at all ranges to the body or head, as long as you're not shooting through some form of cover or a teammate, for instance. Now, moving on to Hipfire, this is a little worse than average for assault rifles, but not by a large margin, at 3.75 degrees for our minimum spread and 7.75 degrees for our maximum spread. And then when it comes to recoil, this is an area where the AK-74 isn't completely terrible, but it also doesn't excel. When looking at this, you can see there's a lot of inconsistency with that horizontal recoil. On the first recoil plot, it kicked pretty much straight upward for those initial shots fired, but then the second recoil plot is totally different. There's a different shape to that, so it's definitely a little bit unpredictable. And then on top of that, just looking at the gap between those initial shots fired, it's fairly high compared to the later rounds in the magazine. And as a result, while I'm not going to claim the AK-74 is like totally uncontrollable and has terrible recoil, it is quite inconsistent, and I do find that there are situations where I'm missing shots that I know I wouldn't be missing with other guns. In either case, after that, as expected, the CHF barrel will be adding quite a bit of recoil, especially vertical recoil with this gun. And rapid fire, again, as expected, this will be increasing the recoil you experience overall, which is a fair trade-off for that improved time to kill potential. As for our handling stats, our aim down sight speed is the slowest in the assault rifle category, and it's very noticeable. This is 290 milliseconds, so that's an area that will hold you back with this gun. And it's a similar story with our sprint to fire time. This is the slowest in the assault rifle category at just over 200 milliseconds. When it comes to our slide to fire and dive to fire times, however, these are just standard for assault rifles. Then for our reload add time, by default, it's fairly slow at 1.87 seconds. That's the second slowest in the assault rifle category, and really not great. However, we have a lot of choices for magazine attachments on this gun. There are 6 different options there, and you can see how those all affect your reload times. One key thing to point out here is with Extended Mag 1, you get that extra 10 rounds, and there's no downside attached to that. You have the exact same reload time as not using Extended Mag 1. So for me at least, that's my go-to magazine if I'm going to be using one on the AK-74. And this just leaves us with our mobility stats, and across the board, the AK-74 is just a little bit below average for assault rifles, so definitely not an area where this gun excels. And it's pretty clear when you look at this combined with the handling stats that this gun wasn't really made for aggressive play, unless you use a bunch of attachments to make up for these downsides. And speaking of attachments, let's dive into a few excellent attachment combinations I threw together for you guys. And the first one is my balanced stealth build. This is just a great all-arounder for staying off the radar. And with this, we've got a suppressor on there, of course, the vertical foregrip to help keep a more consistent and controllable horizontal recoil pattern, which if we're looking at it right here, you can see it's definitely a lot more straight up. It doesn't cut to the right at all. And there's just more consistency from one recoil pattern to the next. We're also using extended mag 1 because, like I said, there's zero downside attached to this, and you just get the extra 10 rounds in your magazine, which is nice, of course. We have the CQB grip, which is improving our sprint out time, slide to fire time, and dive to fire time to allow us to be a lot more aggressive. However, this kind of leaves our aim down sight time hanging, and like we saw, this does have the slowest aim down sight time in the assault rifle category, so this is where the Strelick laser comes in. This laser gives you nearly instant full accuracy when you initiate aiming down sight, and therefore that slow aim down sight time doesn't really matter all that much when using this laser. You can start firing as you're in the process of aiming down sight with nearly full accuracy. So with all of that combined, it allows you to be reasonably aggressive while staying off the radar, and that's my preferred playstyle, so this is generally my go-to version of the AK-74, unless I want to use the Gunfighter wildcard, which brings us into my next loadout. With this one, we have the Kepler Microflex, the Compensator, the Reinforced Barrel, the Vertical Foregrip, Extended Mag 1, Commando Grip, which helps with both aim down sight and sprint out time, so it's a nice balanced attachment there. We've got the Infiltrator stock, so we can strafe faster in gunfights. And then finally, we're topping this off with the recoil springs for the most accurate version of this gun that you can possibly make, which, as we can see there, this is significantly more accurate than the base version of the gun, and it especially tightens those gaps up between every shot that you fire, so it's significantly easier to hit your shots even at longer ranges. And this is just an excellent, super well-balanced build that unfortunately requires 8 attachments to make happen. And this just leaves us with one final setup, and this is for those players that want to play as aggressively as possible with the AK-74 without completely sacrificing your ability to hit your target at least. And with this one, the key here is we're using rapid fire, which, like I said, it's totally unnecessary, but if you want to compete really well with SMGs up close, you're going to get an excellent time to kill here at 261 milliseconds. We're also using the Compensator to help keep that recoil at least somewhat manageable. Yes, your recoil pattern is going to be slightly worse than the base, but you shouldn't be using this setup at longer ranges anyway, and this should be at least accurate enough. We also have the Ranger foregrip, which does help with horizontal recoil to a degree, but more importantly, it helps with our sprint and tactical sprint speed by quite a noticeable margin, so that allows us to just sprint around the map way more effectively. And then we're finally once again using that combination of the CQB grip to help with sprint to fire, slide to fire, and dive to fire, as well as the Strelick laser for that near instant full accuracy when you initiate aiming down sight. When you put all of this together, this allows you to get around the map quite quickly, sprint out as fast as possible with this gun, and get those shots on target and reasonably accurate with a very fast time to kill. It's far from the most versatile build, but it is the best one if you're trying to be aggressive, at least in my opinion. And with that, that's going to wrap it up today's gun guide on the AK-74. As for my thoughts on this gun, it's definitely not the easiest gun in this game to use. It is a bit challenging to get that recoil under control and to really manage that unpredictable recoil as well. You do have to adapt to that in real time often. And then also the handling and mobility is a bit on the slower side, but if you can get around those two elements, this gun has a ton of raw power and killing potential, and you can really find a ton of success with it. Now, of course, those are just my opinions, and I'd love to know what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. And if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.